Oh, hey guys, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me once again at Kate's Regretless Life. All right, so you guys, I've changed some parameters and a microphone, so do give me some feedback if you like this sound or not. I will have a listen before I put this out there, but I still feel like I don't always hear the same thing on my end that I think you hear through YouTube. So please do give me a little bit of feedback if that sound is more pleasing to your ears or if I need to try to figure something else out still. So I'll take a consensus here. All right. So as always, we are going to jump on into today's topic reading. This is going to be for the 11th. Now, don't forget that we are coming into the peak of the Perseid meteor shower. So right now you may want to get out there and see some shooting stars. I'm super excited to go see some of that. So I'm going to go out into the desert and just kind of go find some dark, starry spot out in the middle of nowhere and far away from lights. And I might do some kind of little recording when I'm out there, either on the 11th or the 12th. Okay. It won't be a today's topic reading, but it might be something else that I post while I'm out there stargazing. So it'll probably be really late at night. All right. So as always, this is a general reading. And then oftentimes I will pull one card for each zodiac at the end of this. Not always, though. It kind of depends. So let's see what we get. Also, you guys, this is the place where you can go ahead and enter to win a free reading with me. If you are a subscriber to my channel and you are watching these daily readings, feel free to write the word tribe in the description box for me, okay? So we begin our storyline with the polar bear. The polar bear is on the move. The polar bear is somebody who's out hunting for sustenance, hunting for the next, the next food that they need, but it has to do with the next set of resources. This is usually a very savvy business person. This can be someone who is saying, you know what, I've spent enough time putting my energy into this business. Now I need to go a new direction and put my energy elsewhere. So there is a change on the horizon. This can be someone who has been the leader of a company and they may be changing something about the company, or they may be literally stepping out of a position of authority and leaving to go start a different business. But this can also simply represent usually a more mature individual who is some kind of a leader within their community, powerful figure who is now on the move. So we start with that topic. And I actually want to go ahead and stick with this Lenormand deck a little bit longer. Tell me a little bit more about the bear. Tell me a little bit more about the bear. We've got, okay, so choices. The way I look at this is it's not a matter of if someone is going to ascend, it is only a matter of which direction does someone want their life to ascend. So this bear has two doorways open to them, and they both hold very different outcomes. The place that the bear is at is obviously at the bottom of this staircase, and so there's a little bit of time that the bear has to be thinking about what is the right move to make. I'm already on the move. I'm headed on up this staircase, but I have a choice of then going right or left. Now, this looks like two very different paths. This does not look like one of those situations where it's like, oh, if you go to the right, then eventually you might still wind up back on the left-hand side. It doesn't come across that way. It really looks like this is kind of a turning point. But it's interesting because we actually have a choice between two opportunities, but we've come from this third location. So we are very much in the act of leaving something behind in life. So we're closing a chapter in life, and now we're asking ourselves, what is the correct avenue for the next chapter of my life? One door is decidedly more open, looks easier to walk through. This door on the right, the other door is not quite as open. It's clear blue skies here. It's more like, this could be considered sunset. It could also be sunrise, but I look at that more as a sunset versus midday. So essentially, Someone could walk into a situation where they perhaps already have some kind of background or perhaps a relationship that they had already begun, and they could just kind of pick up and get moving along with this, or they could choose a slightly more difficult path, but they have many daylight hours yet ahead of them to work on things and create what they want. So I see one pathway that, although may have a slightly more difficult option, it also, I would almost say, comes with more unknown potential. Okay. What does that mean? What is that really referencing? Where is this story going? I love that I'm getting these mystery reads lately. That was a fun one that I had yesterday, and we had a cool one the other day with the talisman. It's interesting. By the way, I hope that the shuffling isn't too loud. I don't know. Princess of Swords in the reverse. This is almost like this individual has gathered as much information as they possibly can. There is nothing more to do other than to take action. It doesn't matter how much longer they contemplate. There is no more information that can be gathered beyond experience. So now it's just time for action. The time to sit and contemplate, the time. And you notice that we actually have these two messengers here as well. Again, that represents to me the two opportunities. And I look at the Princess of Swords or Page of Swords, it's the same card, as it's not just like spying and trying to gather information like watching an ex-lover online. It is about gathering information so that you are well equipped for the next phase of life. Well, that gathering of information time has come to a close. The only thing left to do is take action. Here's the issue. As we already said, that this polar bear is leaving behind one thing, which we saw as far as them needing to go up this staircase. There is no going back for this polar bear. There is no turning around. Instead, the polar bear will make progress in life, but then when they are faced with this next choice, they have no option to just sit here on this landing. They have to choose at this point. And to choose means they have to surrender something else, a long-term, slow-moving goal. And this is a moment where they perhaps are really saying, you know what, I am done looking back over my shoulder. I know I'm not going back down these stairs. I know I have completed every ounce of information that I could glean from a situation I got, every piece of energy and resource I could possibly produce out of the situation I've been in, I have already obtained. Therefore, I have nothing more to do here. It is time for the next phase of my life. This could be talking about somebody who is, if they had been really focused more on just career, maybe they have reached the pinnacle of their career, they have capped out, and there are no more opportunities for growth. And so someone is saying, it's time for me to quit and go and either change my career path altogether, or maybe to open my own business within this career. But no matter what, I have to choose one path or the other, leave it all, or go down this road and keep excelling. For others, this could be a storyline where somebody is actually, maybe they placed I still look at this primarily as a business person. So somebody who stayed in a situation, maybe made business their priority over a commitment, over a relationship, and now they are done doing that and they'd like to choose a relationship. However, now they're faced with a question mark. Do they work on a relationship that perhaps they had already had in the past, or do they go down a brand new road? And then there's a third story that I see here. This could represent someone who is leaving one form of a commitment or relationship and going down this road of, once I am really free of this old commitment, then what do I want for myself? Do I want to walk into another kind of a romance, or do I just want to go solo for a while? So I actually see this in three ways. And so far, all we see is that the polar bear knows you can't sit in this energy of wondering anymore. Tell me, what is the Prince of Pentacles in the reverse about? What is it that they're truly walking away from? What is it that the polar bear is truly walking away from? And this was an old held I don't just want to say old held belief. This was an old, it had something to do with the allegiance to finances. So the polar bear has determined that I can't find any more benefit from staying where I am. And in fact, this could be somebody choosing to sell a business or, like I said, quit working in an industry because maybe they could just not get any more payout from it. So it's like, it's time to let this go. So they're letting go of some type of, I'm going to say, a career oriented perspective. They're closing out one cycle where they never felt like they really achieved the happiness. Now, that could still be someone who didn't achieve happiness within a relationship, and so they are leaving that relationship behind. Tell me a little bit more about this. I mean, we see a confident closure here. Wow. Someone really wants to go toward an individual where, or they want to become this Empress. Could be Libra, could be Taurus, but someone wants very much to move toward a place where there's a ton of growth, a ton of potential. The Empress is, I always look at this as Cleopatra. The Empress is a 1 in a million, right? We all know Cleopatra's name because there's only one Cleopatra. And this is someone who is to be respected. This is someone who makes good decisions. This is someone who has the potential of tremendous growth. I feel like the polar bear wants to go toward someone that they view as their Empress, someone who maybe they view as the individual they'd like to have children with. It doesn't matter if this is a masculine or a feminine that we're referring to, but it's either that or it's that someone wants to reclaim their dreams, their hopes, their wishes, even though this polar bear has been successful already in their life and holds themselves in a, high regard. What they do in their life, they function as a professional. This would usually be somebody who's been in they're at least a manager, or it doesn't matter what field they're in, but oftentimes this will be someone who has a great level of responsibility. So that's usually somebody who oversees other individuals or whatever job or career that they've chosen. It is something that not everyone can do. It's a higher, I'm going to say upper echelon type of situation where you kind of got to be the best of the best to do what you do. And it's interesting because although this polar bear has been the best of the best, it didn't really make them happy, or something has come to a close. Something needs to change in their life. And I feel like maybe it's also because they're realizing that there isn't a number, a dollar value that will actually provide them with the happiness that they want. I think what they're recognizing is that they want to have the opportunity to pursue dreams and goals and have a different form of growth. The Empress can grow anything. The Empress can give birth to children. She can give birth to new ideas. She can give birth to a new life. And someone wants this for themselves. It's no longer the rigid held beliefs of what, this is how I earn my money. This is what I do. This is, the polar bear might have had a very step-by-step kind of rigid career path, or the way they have operated, they could have been pretty ice cold. Everything was logic. Everything was, yeah, I know this is not something that everyone's going to like, but I don't care about who likes it. This is the way it's going to be done because this is the most logical path. Someone didn't use their emotions to help round out the edges. Well, I feel like the polar bear is realizing that they want to change that, because the Empress is the exact reverse. The Empress is growth, but it's because of nurturing. And this is the ultimate mother. This is like the earth mother. This is, and for some people, perhaps this talks also about wanting to, this could be somebody who's worked in one industry and now they want to switch over and work in an industry that's more, like green energy, or something that is more conservation efforts or something along those lines. So this storyline can go in a lot of different ways. Tell me more about the Empress. Whew. King of Wands came out in the reverse. So this is a situation where I feel as if I'm still trying to get to the bottom of what the two choices are here. And what we keep seeing is we have an individual who wants to leave behind the sensation of a lack of abundance. Whatever they didn't bring them the feeling of abundance. And they're done trying to figure out, why am I not happy no matter what I produce, no matter what I earn? So they're making a conscious choice to say, I can either go toward an Empress, which represents all that is potential for growth, or I can let my ego rule and say, no, I'm not going to go down that road. I'm curious as to which of these doors represents the Empress and which represents the ego. Because, as I said, one door is more open than the other. To me, that's an interesting question, only because, hold on, I'm going to take my duplicate deck for that. Can you tell me, does the Empress, what does she represent? Which door does she represent? The more open door, the easier path, or the more difficult? Wow. 9 of Cups in the reverse, Ace of Cups in the upright. So the Empress is something that an individual didn't choose in the past. Again, ego might have blocked that, and yet there is this huge abundance of love. There is this huge abundance of self-love that could be fostered here. There is this tremendous abundance of, I'm going to say, happiness and joy. And you see the butterfly that represents transformation. The thing is, at first, it could be really difficult because the Empress, like I said, it's mama energy. Mamas give tough love sometimes. They give encouragement that also comes with responsibility. I actually feel like the Empress represents the door that is more closed. You would think the door would be more open, but to me, this looks a lot more like they would have to work a little harder to get to this. They'd have to hold themselves to a different level of accountability, meaning they'd have to really love themselves. Loving yourself means getting beyond your ego. Loving yourself sometimes means humbling oneself enough to admit, I want that. I don't want what I've created for myself because it's not making me happy. I actually want this softer, gentler energy. Whatever this is, this strong kind of independent polar bear who maybe has always been in charge would actually potentially have to admit that they have not been happy with the choices they've made, and that they want the softer side of life. They want something more loving. They want something more grounded. And that may be very hard, very, very hard for this polar bear to get into that vibe. So that looks like the door that is more closed, yet it's also the door that they have the least amount of experience with. If they've only been used to being logical and being in charge, that can be getting out of one's comfort zone to try being loving and expressive. And so that door, like I said at the beginning, the door that's more closed is actually, it's blue skies, it's middle of the day. So tons of daylight, tons of time, and tons of potential to, create whatever it is that you want to create. The other doorway is much more open, but it's evening. This is like, well, you can stick with what you've known. You don't have to change very much. That would be the ego door. I'm not going to open up my heart. I'm going to change what I do for a living, but I'm not going to change how I do it. I'm going to stay in my ego. I'm going to let my ego rule. The thing is, I feel like if somebody chooses that path, they're not going to find the happiness, which is precisely the thing that they're trying to get to. Tell me a little bit more about this King of Wands in the reverse. King of Wands in the reverse. We've got a lie here. We got a 7 of Swords. We have a Princess of Wands. It's interesting because somebody would be basically choosing something that they think, yeah, but I can always slip back out the door. I can do something that, I can kind of get into it, but I can always escape again. It's as if, like I said, if somebody chooses not to really use their heart space, if they want to operate an ego, out of it. They're not really going at it because they want to. They're walking in already knowing that, yeah, but I have a secret backdoor exit strategy, which means this person still isn't having the courage to go after what they authentically want. And sure enough, with the Princess of Wands in the reverse, that's exactly it. There is no real passion for this. What's interesting, so there are 3 other cards here. What's interesting is we have a 3 of Cups. And in this case, I'm going to talk about it as third-party energy. It's as if someone says, yeah, but I could just, if we're talking, you know, in relationship, this is somebody who's like, yeah, but I could just have a bunch of different people that I kind of mess with and maybe, you know, pick up some new romance, but knowing full well I'm not really invested, and still secretly be texting other people, looking for other people. But it might, you know, help get me out of my rut. And, you know, it'll be like people that I like, but just not anyone that I need to fully invest in. And I say this because we've got that 8 of Swords in the reverse, like it would help get me out of my rut. And then we have the soulmate card. It's almost like thinking, I don't like this at all. I think this is a terrible, terrible strategic way for anyone to behave. This is very, at least the way I'm interpreting this. All these cards together speak of someone very unenlightened. If they're beginning a journey of supposedly changing their life and ascending, but they're openly thinking and calculating in their mind, I can leave this, but then I don't really have to commit to something else new. Instead, I can just kind of run around, always have an exit strategy. It means someone is intending to be insincere. I hope this person just sits by themselves and figures themselves out instead. Because this way makes a lot of broken hearts, but it also it is very deceptive and it's very dishonorable. And I say that because this card is a dishonorable card. It's childlike behavior. We see this little punk who's stealing all of these swords that this hardworking blacksmith is busy working, and he thinks he has an apprentice. He thinks he has someone who's there learning from him and working with him, and instead this little punk is just a thief. This would be the equivalent of somebody who gets into a relationship with someone fully intending to simply take their emotions and give the pretense of being in a relationship with them, while all the time they're actually starting relationships with 3, 4, 5, 6 other people, right? Because it's 7 of Swords. This is, here's the thing. It's not saying this is what this person would choose. It's saying that this individual is calculating enough, and a polar bear is very calculating. It's my survival first. This is a story of someone who has operated in survival mode. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I know I've basically said that this is dishonorable, but that's what that card represents. So I'm not trying to condemn anything other than to read what the card actually means, and it's not nice. But if this polar bear has operated off of survival mode, cutthroat kind of business, you know, this is the kind of person that they don't have friends at work. If the polar bear has been in survival mode, they have a moment in their life right now where they have to choose, and this is a pivotal moment for this polar bear. Do they want to remain a strategist who operates in survival mode, who says, yeah, but it'd be so much easier for me to just get my emotional fulfillment, or my version of emotional fulfillment, from kind of superficial connections where people really fall in love with me, but I never give back to them because I know all along I'm actually always going to have an exit door. I'm never really going to commit. Or do I actually make a significant change and go after the thing that would, this Empress would be my forever. The Empress would be, I really commit. I really build. That means I give my whole heart and mind and what I want to do with my life. I really give it all of me. I don't have an exit strategy at all. That is what this Ace of Cups really represents. It's where we walk in and we say, I will walk into hell and hold your hand. If that's what's coming, it's okay. I'm going to be right there with you. That's the kind of Ace of Cups thing that we see here. And this polar bear has perhaps never chosen that. I would say never chosen it, because we wouldn't be feeling like this is a major turning point for this polar bear if they already operated out of that mentality. I feel like this is the difference between really opening up one's heart or deciding to just simply live, I guess I'll say, in the shadow of one's heart. Give the illusion of making connections, but they're not real connections. Very interesting reading, because we veered very far off of, business and gone really down the road of emotions. But I feel like this was actually very interwoven to business. This could be a person who is, through the act of leaving behind some career, or if they're contemplating leaving behind a career, it might have been interwoven into a relationship, and through their interactions, they might have actually gotten tired of their own calculating attitude, because it's very hard to ever have sincere connections when everything is all about, like, if I'm nice to you, what can I get out of this? This could be a situation where somebody makes all of the decisions based off of, what gain will I have out of this? And that's the big distinction. Love isn't about what the gain is, right? Love is about, it is about the gain, I suppose, because it's emotionally satisfying, but it's when your satisfaction actually comes from the act of giving your attention to someone that you care about, and their happiness lights up your life as well. This polar bear has not operated out of that mentality, not in this reading, right? So again, I just remind you, it is only a story. It is only a reading. So please don't take offense. I am not telling you this is who you are or this is who anybody else is. It is simply a story. But I would like to see, what is do we know which direction the polar bear is going to go? Let's take this deck. It's the polar bear is at a moment where they have to choose, and there's no more thinking about it. It's time for action. They've ended the time frame where they can continue to weigh in their subconscious the pros and cons. Now it's time for their, basically, I feel like they have to listen to their higher self, and that's what their option is now. Do they listen to their higher self, or do they ignore it? Either way, I mean, they will have a fulfilling life in some capacity, right? And people have fulfilling lives based on different things. If someone's great love in life was to just be a bowler, if they just wanted to bowl and they got to bowl their entire life, they would feel very satisfied, right? And perhaps this person will be more satisfied with the thrill of lots of different, superficial relationships. But here's the thing, the polar bear they're in great personal conflict. We have a 5 of Cups in the upright. Their mind is a maze. We have the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. We have the Sun in the reverse. And then we have the 9 of Swords in the upright. So this is actually the order in which these cards came out. Why are they questioning? What is it that they worry that they've already fouled something up? They think that they can't have that opportunity with the Empress, or they can't have that opportunity for true happiness, and this stresses them immensely. It's almost as if they're thinking, the only opportunity I have left is to have superficial connections, and so I'm going to have to make peace with that. Why? Tell me, what is it that's such a maze in their mind? What is it that they have so much deep regret over? That 5 of Cups, Queen of Wands. So the polar bear, either they have a deep regret over a Queen of Wands, and that could go either way. That could mean that they gave their loyalty to the wrong connection. I mean, the Queen of Wands, unless they're seeing their Queen of Wands as their Empress, but I don't think so. I think that the deep regret is that the polar bear might have chosen something else at a different pivotal moment of their life that they should have chosen. Wow. The polar bear might have been married to the wrong person. We have the Hierophant in the upright, which is a marriage of like more rigid belief. And then we have a 4 of Wands in the reverse. So they carry great regret because there was no spiritual marriage. There was only the marriage on paper, the marriage of these are the rules and regulations. So the polar bear, this does look like a story where they have great regrets that they either entered into a business contract with someone that they didn't want to be in a business contract with, or they married that person, or both. It was marriage and business contract. And they have great regrets that they have done this. They feel like this has bogged it down to where they cannot have their happiness now. And I'm guessing that it's because this would have fouled things up with the Empress. And I feel almost like, yeah, see, now we got the Six of Swords in the reverse. They feel like they can never come back out of this. And there's a lot of betrayal. All these skeletons have swords in their backs. I feel as if this, I feel like this polar bear is maybe because they're going through some kind of an awakening. They're just now realizing that their more cutthroat attitude that they've always operated with, that cold, that calculating attitude, it's just now hitting them, the magnitude of the way they have behaved and what that attitude has yielded as far as karma. Because they feel like it's amazing when we look in the mirror and we see ourselves for who we really have become. Now, anyone can be redeemed, though, but this person is not liking who they see themselves as. And now they're actually almost at this point where they're saying, is there redemption for me? Or do I deserve to just have superficial connections because that's all I've manifested so far by the choices I've been making? Because I definitely feel like with the Four of Wands in the reverse, they're regretting pushing away a divine connection in lieu of something else that was. The Queen of Wands tends to be very attractive, tends to be very alluring, tends to be very. I'm not going to lie, I don't like this reading one little bit. It's obviously a reading all about just the polar bear and their time, their perspective and all of this. But it's a tough one, but maybe it's a super necessary one to look at oneself. Hang on, that was too many cards. To look at oneself in the mirror. The Sun card is in the reverse. Wow, because Four of Swords in the reverse. They feel like they waited too long and the final nail was put in the coffin. The opportunity to heal something, to fix something has actually passed them by. And that's why they think so has their happiness. So the opportunity to fix something is beyond fixing is what this polar bear is now thinking. Tell me about the Nine of Swords in the upright. Nine of Swords in the upright. Moon card in the upright. You know how I said it's like someone is seeing themselves? Well, here we have that reflection. Somebody actually sees who they are and all the secrets they've held. You know, the weird thing is, the only reason this polar bear is able to look at themselves for what they are is because they actually are a better person than what they maybe have, than the role that they've played in this lifetime. Because anyone who has the self-awareness to at some point face themselves and contemplate their actions and actually be ashamed of their actions, it indicates that they are aware now of why they've played the roles they've played in their life. And this does look like there's a remorse here. That's, well, obviously with that Five of Cups, a huge remorse. So right now, there isn't a happy card here. You know, because I was asking the question, what is the polar bear going to do? The polar bear is sitting here thinking that they don't actually have a choice. Because of the way they've chosen to live so far. Let's just see, what is the overall outcome here? What is the overall outcome here? What is the overall outcome here? Overall outcome, we have a Three of Wands in the reverse. We have a Chariot in the reverse. Ace of Wands upright, Three of Pentacles reverse, Fool card in the reverse. In this reading, for this energy flow right now, we don't see the polar bear having courage. We see them saying, I don't deserve to have a happier future. I don't deserve to move forward because I've made some poor choices, and now I have to deal with this. It's almost like they understand that they have made choices that have brought them to this time in their life. And with this Three of Pentacles in the reverse and the Fool card in the reverse, it looks as if they can't imagine why someone would choose to be with them. This is very harsh wording that I'm using here, but I have to pull one more card because the Ace of Wands is there. It's almost like, let me put it this way. This person is, if they're looking real close at themselves and they don't like who they've been and they don't like what they've done, and they actually are judging themselves and thinking, all that time I thought I was calculating, I thought I was, making decisions that were, I got with this other person who was foxy, and I thought it was going to be a ladder climbing thing, and I got into this business, and it turns out this person is as cold and calculating as I am, or something here hasn't ever made me happy. And in the meantime, I have an opportunity, or had an opportunity, of real love and real happiness, and I spoiled and I corrupted that, and there were a lot of betrayals, is what it looks like. And it seems like this polar bear is recognizing that they've betrayed maybe a lot of people, because that Six of Swords in the reverse, that had multiple skeletons in it that all had swords in their back. This polar bear seems to have operated on that survival mode, or that me first. And I'm gonna backstab friends. I'm gonna use people up because it's all about me getting ahead. And now that they are really contemplating why they behaved that way and what they've done, there's a great deal of shame. But now they're also holding themselves to this level of saying, I wouldn't want to be with someone like me. So I wouldn't expect someone to take me back that I've treated like this. But out of this, they are finding a burning desire to change something. This Ace of Wands is a burning desire. This is somebody saying, I don't want to be this person anymore. It's almost like we have a Lover's card in the reverse, we have an Eight of Cups in the reverse, and we have a Page of Swords in the reverse. This person really still has this passion to return to a situation that they left long time ago, that there's been no communication with. But it's almost like that desire is going to help them, I'm going to say, become a better person. When we feel like we don't like who we are, sometimes that's the best thing that can come out of a relationship, is it shows us what we need to change. Six of Cups, returning soulmate. I feel like this polar bear is going to use this, and I don't want to say self-loathing, but this energy of not liking who they have become, to really try to get back to, and they could be doing a lot of like energetic healing right now for their inner child, trying to figure out, why did they operate this way in their life? Why have they always been cutthroat? Why have they always gone for the jugular and gone for their, what's good for me first? As far as like, what's good for me should be what makes you happy, right? But this person had a flip-flopped idea of what happiness, where do you gather happiness from? Is it from money? Is it from superficial connections? This person is just now realizing that hasn't made them happy. And this is usually a very mature person. This could be somebody 40, 50, 60 years old who's only just now having it really sink in. They're just now seeing their own reflection, but their reflection is showing them what has been buried deep inside, which is usually our inner child, our old versions of ourselves, our old healing or old wounding. I feel like this person is going to go seek some help. I feel like it's almost like this polar bear had to get to this point of really seeing themselves in an ugly light to realize, I don't like me, so why would anybody else want to be with me if I tried to get them back anyway? But they do have a burning desire to get someone back. They have a burning desire to return to a situation that has been left in silence, but I feel like they may seek out some kind of help, some kind of someone who can understand where they've been and maybe help them at that inner child level. This is taking action. This is the desire to take action, and it's surrounding, like, the motive is to try to return to a healthier time frame. I don't know. I get a vibe that this person, only because we have such stagnant energy on either side, it's like this person realizes they couldn't possibly present themselves while they're in this mind frame of like just fully having recognized how cutthroat they've been. It's not enough to be aware of what our behavior has been. They now need to resolve it. They need to heal. They need to figure out where that came from. And then they need to really not dislike themselves anymore. So I think that's why we've seen the door that is more closed as the more difficult door. I think that this is explaining the hard work that someone would have to do. But at the same time, if you don't like who you've become, then why not change? What have you got to lose by just trying to change? So I'm going to leave this one here. I don't know if this storyline makes any sense, but that's the story that I see in this. And that's all it is just a story. It's just something for contemplation. This may be something that you identify with as far as like someone who has behaved that way. Or maybe there's just one sentence somewhere in here that makes some kind of little sense or something. But whatever it may be, you guys, thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for your wonderful interactions and comments. I absolutely adore you guys. And yeah, it's always a delight. All right. Be well.